Something terrifying is happening in the stratosphere right now, and in 4 weeks, it's going to change everything you thought you knew about this winter. Meteorologists are calling this a once-in-a-decade event. The last time we saw this pattern, January 2014. Remember that polar vortex? Get ready for round 2. But first, at the 30-second mark, I'm going to give you 3 critical numbers that will determine if your family stays safe this January. Northern California is under siege right now. A 970 millibar low-pressure system. That's hurricane-strength winds without the hurricane. Snow falling over an inch per hour in Quebec. Eastern Canada getting absolutely demolished. Here's your reward. 15, 22, and 50. Remember these numbers. January 15th, when the pattern shifts. January 22nd, when the worst cold arrives. And -50, the wind chill coming to parts of North America. Write them down, because at minute 3, I'll explain exactly what they mean for your state. An atmospheric river is hammering the west coast. 7 to 12 inches of rain in Northern California by Monday morning. Flash flood warnings stretching from Eureka to Sacramento. The Weather Prediction Center rarely issues slight risk for flooding. They just did. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. While the West drowns, the East is about to bake. Christmas Day temperatures 45 degrees above normal. In December, 45 degrees warmer than average. Job chapter 37, verses 9 and 10 tell us, "The tempest comes out from its chamber, the cold from the driving winds. The breath of God produces ice, and the broad waters become frozen." God controls the weather. And right now, He's showing us His power. 2 massive Arctic fronts are charging across the continent. The first one already hit. Minneapolis? -20 wind chills yesterday. Frostbite in 10 minutes. Exposed skin turning white in 8 minutes. The second front is building in Manitoba. It's tracking southeast. By Sunday, the entire upper Midwest gets slammed again. Wind chills dropping to -30 inches some areas. Lake effect snow is exploding. The Great Lakes are still 42 to 48 degrees. When -10-degree air screams across that warm water, it's like a snow factory. Buffalo could see 18 inches by Monday. Erie, Pennsylvania, 14 inches possible. Cleveland, 10 to 12 inches in the snowbelt. Quebec and Ontario are sitting on a powder keg. Over 3 feet of snowpack already on the ground. And more is coming. That deep snow is going to feed back into the atmosphere. It's going to make the cold even colder. Now here's your minute 3 promise. Those 3 numbers, let me break them down state by state. January 15th. This is when the stratospheric warming event hits the surface. The stratosphere, 100,000 feet above your head, is warming by 30 degrees Celsius right now. When that warm air descends, it disrupts the polar vortex. Think of the polar vortex as a dam. It holds back Arctic air. When the dam cracks, the flood comes south, and that crack happens January 15th. January 22nd. This is when the coldest air of the entire winter arrives. Not just in Canada, all the way to Texas. Dallas could see single-digit temperatures. Houston, teens. That's colder than a typical winter day in Chicago. -50, the wind chill forecast for northern Canada by late January. But here's the scary part. -20 to -30 wind chills could reach as far south as Kansas and Missouri. That hasn't happened in over a decade. The European model is screaming this. The American GFS model agrees. Even the Canadian model, which is usually conservative, is showing extreme cold for late January. Historical analogs back this up. January 1996, deep snowpack in Russia and Asia led to brutal cold in North America. The jet stream buckled. Arctic air poured south. The same setup is happening right now. January 2000, another cold month. Temperature swings were wild, but when the cold hit, it was vicious. Records fell. Infrastructure failed. People suffered. This January is shaping up to be a hybrid of both years. Warm at first, then boom, Arctic explosion. Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9 reminds us, "What has been will be again, what has been done will be done again." There is nothing new under the sun. These weather patterns repeat. And right now, we're watching history prepare to repeat itself. Let me walk you through Christmas week first, then we'll dive into the January chaos. December 24th, Christmas Eve. Ridiculously warm. A massive ridge of high pressure dominates the central United States. 50 seconds and 60 seconds from Texas to Minnesota. The 32-degree freezing line pushed into southern Canada. Last-minute Christmas shopping? You won't need a heavy coat, maybe a light jacket. It's going to feel like early April, not late December. December 25th, Christmas morning. Even warmer. Temperatures starting in the 30 seconds and 40 seconds across the Midwest. By afternoon, 60 seconds and 70 seconds. The deep south could touch 75 degrees. It'll be one of the top 5 warmest Christmases on record in many cities. Dreaming of a white Christmas? You'll need to drive to Canada. The snow line is completely north of the U.S. border. Not a flake in sight for most Americans. The West Coast is a different story. California, you're getting pounded. The Sierras could see 3 to 5 feet of snow at elevation by Christmas Day. Interstate 80 will require chains. Interstate 5 through the Grapevine, also chains required. Lower elevations? Flooding. Serious flooding. Rivers are going to crest, creeks will overflow. If you live in a flood-prone area, have an evacuation plan ready. Mudslides are a major concern. The Campfire Burn Scar area, the Dixie Fire region. Any area that saw wildfires in recent years is vulnerable. Soil can't absorb this much rain this fast. Seattle and Portland, you're in for more rain. Another 5 to 7 inches through Christmas week. Rivers are already running high. More flood warnings are coming. But even in the deluge, God provides. Psalm 65 verse 9. You care for the land and water it. You enrich it abundantly. California's drought is ending. Reservoirs are filling. Next summer's water supply is being secured right now. New Year's Eve looks mild for the east. 40 seconds and 50 seconds. Some rain possible, but nothing severe. It's the lull before the storm. Because January 1st through 7th, things start to change. Not dramatically yet, but the signs are there. Cold building in Alaska. Cold strengthening in western Canada. The western third of the U.S. turning chilly. The east stays mild through the first week. But it's a fake-out, like a sunny day before a tornado. Enjoy it while it lasts. January 8th through 14th, week 2. This is when clipper systems start firing. Fast-moving Alberta clippers diving southeast. They don't bring huge snow, but they bring cold. And they set the stage for what's coming. The Midwest sees snow. 2 to 4 inches here, 3 to 6 inches there. The Ohio Valley gets clipped. Nothing major yet, but everyone's talking about the pattern change. Then January 15th hits. The dam breaks. A monster ridge builds near the Bering Strait in Alaska. It's amplifying. Getting stronger. Pushing 3 standard deviations above normal. When ridges build in Alaska, troughs dig in the east. It's like a seesaw. High pressure in one spot means low pressure in another. And that low pressure is going to park itself over the Great Lakes. Cold air comes screaming south. Not gradually. Fast. Temperature drops of 30 to 40 degrees in 24 hours. Chicago goes from 45 on Tuesday to 5 on Wednesday. That's a 40-degree crash. The snow line drops into Texas by January 18th. Oklahoma City, you're in the bullseye. 6 to 10 inches possible in a major storm. Dallas, 3 to 6 inches. Houston, you might see snowflakes for the first time in years. Arkansas and Tennessee get hammered. Little Rock could see significant ice. Memphis, heavy snow. Nashville, a wintry mix that shuts the city down. The Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, multiple storms, back-to-back systems. Snow on Monday, ice on Thursday, more snow the following weekend. It's relentless. The I-95 corridor is in play. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. You've been quiet all winter. That's about to end. A major nor'easter is possible between January 18th and 24th. Here's the kicker. The polar vortex might split. When the vortex splits, one lobe stays over Canada, the other lobe drifts south, and when it drifts south, it brings Siberian cold with it. We're talking wind chills of minus 20 inches St. Louis, minus 15 inches Indianapolis, minus 10 inches Cincinnati. Cities that rarely see minus 10 wind chills are going to get them. The snowpack across the United States could explode. First week of January, maybe 20% coverage. By January 25th, could be 60 to 70% coverage, from Texas to Maine under snow. Proverbs chapter 25 verse 13 says, "Like a snow-cooled drink at harvest time is a trustworthy messenger to the one who sends him. He refreshes the spirit of his master." Snow brings refreshment. It brings renewal. It brings life. But it also brings danger. Hypothermia, frostbite, carbon monoxide poisoning from improper heating. we need to be smart. 4 action steps right now. First, service your furnace before January 15th. When that cold hits, you don't want your heating system failing. Spend the money now. It could save your life later. Second, stock up on rock salt and ice melt. Once the snow starts, stores will run out. Get ahead of the rush. Third, check on elderly neighbors. Seniors are vulnerable to extreme cold. Make sure they have heat. Make sure they have food. This is what Christ calls us to do. Fourth, prepare your vehicle. Winter tires if you're in the snow belt. Emergency kit in the trunk. Blankets, flashlight, water, non-perishable food. If you get stranded, these items save lives. The stratospheric warming is the key to all of this. It's happening right now. Temperatures in the stratosphere are spiking. The polar vortex is wobbling. And in 2 to 4 weeks, we'll see the surface impacts. Every major stratospheric warming event in history has led to cold outbreaks. 2009, cold. 2013, cold. 2014, brutal cold. 2018, cold. 2021, Texas freeze that killed over 200 people. We're watching another one unfold in real time. And the timing puts peak impacts in late January. Snowpack in Siberia is 150% of normal. When Siberia has deep snow, it changes global circulation patterns. The jet stream shifts. Arctic air exports increase. North America gets the cold. It's called snow albedo feedback. Snow reflects sunlight. That keeps temperatures cold. Cold air builds, pressure rises. High pressure in Siberia forces low pressure over North America. And low pressure means storms and cold. The models are aggressive, almost too aggressive, which makes me wonder if they're overdoing it. But even if they're 50% right, we're still looking at a major pattern change. Isaiah chapter 55 verse 10, As the rain and snow come down from heaven and do not return to it without watering the earth and making it bud and flourish, God sends snow for a purpose. It waters the earth. It prepares for spring. This winter has been mild so far, but one cold month can make the whole season. January 2022 was brutal after a warm December. January 2011 was frigid after a mild start. It happens. Are you ready? Mentally? Physically? Spiritually? Mentally, accept that plans might change. Flights might cancel. Roads might close. Flexibility is key. Physically, prepare your home. Weather strip windows. Insulate pipes. Stock the pantry. Spiritually, trust God. Philippians chapter 4 verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. We can prepare without panicking. We can be wise without being worried. That's the balance. One last thing. The data changes daily. What I'm telling you today might shift by next week. Long-range forecasting is art and science combined, but the overall trend is clear. Late January looks cold. Very cold. Snow looks likely. Widespread snow. Be ready. Check back daily for updates. The models will sharpen. The timing will clarify. The impacts will become obvious. Share this with family. Share with friends. Share with your church. Information is power. And right now, people need this information. Stay warm. Stay safe. Stay close to God. No matter what January brings, we're facing it together. And with God on our side, we can handle anything. Be blessed.